Hey, hello, how are you? This is Tim Alston, and welcome to the Tim Alston Show. Look, this is my maiden voyage. I did an early recording, but some of you may not have had a chance to see it. And so we want to do it again because this is such a momentous day for us in terms of milestones in American history. Uh, Hopefully, one of the milestones is not the cold weather where you are. I remember very clearly back in 2009 when my family and I went to attend the first inauguration of President Barack Obama. It was cold, it was frigid, as a matter of fact, what I clearly remember is that it was roughly about 13 or 14 degrees. We were out there on the mall. It was a tremendous experience. I'm so glad that our daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, was able to join us at that time. Funny thing about it, what she remembers the most about that experience was the fact that um, the historicity was not the important thing to her. What was important to her was the fact that she got a chance to ride on the DC Metro system. It had been her first time on a train before, on a metro kind of a train before. So that was her memorable experience. But we did get a picture of her. She was on my shoulders, and a photographer from a newspaper in Pennsylvania clicked the picture, ran in his papers, and I have that picture and that clip on my wall. But anyway, that's history. We're talking about today and now. Welcome. Welcome to my inaugural episode of the Tim Alston Show. Um, I'm your host, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to my very first inaugural episode. Here on the Tim Alston Show, our goal is to educate, to empower, and to equip emerging leaders like you with God-inspired leadership, God-thought leadership, I like to call it, and with those principles to create positive change in your communities and beyond. Today, January 20th, 2025, is an extraordinary day, one that represents the intersection of three monumental milestones. Let me tell you why I say this date is so significant. Well, first of all, the date is significant because of the fact it is the day that America celebrates and commemorates the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And the reason that is significant is because of the fact that his impact on American history was extraordinary. Dr. King was not just a civic leader, a civil rights leader, he was a prophet. By definition, a prophet is both an inspired teacher and a forecaster for the future. And Dr. King was arguably the only 20th century American produced prophet. Challenge me if you will. In fact, the 1999 poll ranked his 1963 I Have a Dream speech as the greatest American speech of the 20th century, and possibly the greatest in the English language, period. That was according to these scholars of public address. Dr. King's leadership during the civil rights movement didn't just change laws. It inspired movements worldwide. Movements such as the women's liberation movement, the environmental justice movement, the free speech movement, the anti-Vietnam War movement, the American Indian movement, the Chicano movement, and the LGBTQ plus rights movement. And his dream? Well, his dream was America's first blueprint for diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, every time you see diverse faces on in a TV newsroom, in a classroom or boardroom, you're witnessing Dr. King's legacy in action. We owe him an immeasurable debt of gratitude. Second, my screen working for me. Okay. Second, today also marks another historic moment. At noon, Vice President Kamala Harris concluded her tenure as the highest ranking woman of color in U.S. history. Kamala Harris, the daughter of an African American father and an Indian mother, shattered ceilings and became a global symbol of progress. Her legacy, her trailblazing, must not end with the 2024 election. Must not end. So therefore, and there's also now a third milestone and a new legacy that's about to unfold later this evening. Matter of fact, that legacy is happening right now. And after I talk with you and we communicate, then we'll both begin to go back to enjoy it. Milestone number 3, 7 hours and 700 miles after Kamala Harris's stepping down, after her concluding her legacy as that first woman person of color in US, the highest ranking one, another trailblazer stepped onto the stage. Marcus Freeman, the head coach for Notre Dame, has now just become that first person of color to lead a team in the college football playoff national championship. Like Kamala Harris, Marcus Freeman is the son of an African-American father and an Asian mother from South Korea, a walking embodiment of diversity, of inclusion, and of equity. Let me share something that's really, really important. For America to move forward and to move ahead, we must resist the urge to reduce Kamala Harris's achievements to just a fleeting chapter in history. We've seen it all before. Names like Tiny Tim, Bo Belinsky, Brian Bosworth, sensations during their time, are now nothing but punchlines. In fact, even William E. Miller, remember that name? He was the 1964 vice presidential candidate. He became a joke in a famous American Express commercial, "Do you know me?" We cannot allow Kamala Harris to become another forgotten name. Her 2004 campaign wasn't just a moment, it was a movement. In just 103 days, for example, Kamala Harris broke fundraising records, raising a $1.5 billion, with a B, billion dollars. She reached across party lines with unprecedented crossover appeal. She became a global icon for women's empowerment, and she revolutionized campaigning. JFK, President Kennedy, was known for his campaigning on television in 1960. Barack Obama was known for his campaigning in social media in 2008. Well, Kamala Harris became the queen of the Zoom as she hosted 53 virtual fundraising and friend-raising calls. Kamala Harris may rest for now, but the hope and the progress that she ignited will not sleep. Whether she becomes a university president, or teaches or leads a think tank, or even runs again in 2028, her legacy is alive and growing. In fact, Kamala Harris's legacy reminds me of a story from the Bible, found in Matthew chapter 9. A synagogue leader named Jairus begged Jesus to heal his dying daughter. Before they could reach her, news came that she had already died. But Jesus responded, "She's not dead, but asleep," in chapter 4, in verse 4, rather. Despite the paid mourner's laughter and disbelief, Jesus entered her room, prayed, and brought her back to life. For you and me, as emerging leaders, this story teaches us 3 critical lessons. Number 1, preserve what is valuable. Don't let doubt destroy legacies. Number 2, a temporary setback is not the end. Death, default, or loss can be the mirror that reveals our defects and our disbeliefs. And number 3, focus on God's solutions, not on man's limitations. Kamala Harris's campaign is not dead. Instead, it is a foundation. Like Jairus' daughter, her message of hope and perseverance can and will rise again. Just as Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1946 by creating a legacy that lives on in every trailblazer that is dubbed a Jackie Robinson, Kamala Harris and Marcus Freeman represent new paradigms. Future pioneers of color will be called Kamalas and be called Marcuses. These names will symbolize perseverance, progress, and excellence. As we celebrate the legacy of Dr. King, Kamala Harris, and Marcus Freeman, let's challenge ourselves to carry their lessons into our own lives. Together, we can break through racism, elitism, classism, and sexism, just like they did. Thank you for joining me on this journey. My hope is that the Tim Alston Show becomes your weekly guide for inspiration and action. If this message resonates with you, don't just listen. Instead, subscribe, like, and share. For more information or to connect with me directly, email me at info@timalston.com. And until next time, remember, if this message is becoming to you, then you should be coming to us. Take care, and God bless.